What is up, football fans, but most importantly, Houston Roughnecks fans? Welcome to the Roughnecks Rundown. Who's ready for a win? I am. Let's talk about how we're going to do it.
I'm in the big leagues, told them don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly.
All right, guys, it's episode 31.2. This is the preview episode of the week. So the last episode was 31.1, and that was about our loss. That was reviewing the Michigan Panthers game. This one, we're moving on. We're leaving that in the past, and we are talking about the next game, which is going to be the Arlington Renegades. So this one, I am calling the mid-off because we are 7th and 8th place almost unanimously on power rankings. We are both the 0-3 teams. It's brutal, but one of us has to get a win this week. So this episode, we're going to talk about our opponent, which is, like I said, the Arlington Renegades. Then we're going to talk about their strengths. Then we're going to talk about their weaknesses. And last, we're going to talk about the keys to winning. You know, I like to give my input on what we got to do to win. I'm not a coach, but I like to pretend that I can do a little backseat driving over here. It's a good time. You know, we have a good time. But let's talk about our opponent, the Arlington Renegades. I have this cool photo of Lindsey Scott Jr. here, an up-and-coming quarterback. I believe if they have another year, if the UFL survives this season, that he could be the starting quarterback for the Arlington Renegades next season. But I digress. They are 0-3. We are the only 0-3 teams in the league. It's them and us, the Texas Showdown. They lost to the Defenders last week in an absolutely heartbreaking fashion. It's the closest thing to the Brahmas coming back and beating Memphis in their home opener. They lost to the DC Defenders. Jordan Ta'amu literally put the team on his back, got the 4th and 12, drove down, and they kicked a field goal. And they beat them by 1 point. So the Renegades are coming off of a very hard loss. That usually is tough for the next week because when you have a very emotional game that comes down to the last second, it's hard to be able to recuperate in 5 days and come back and have to play another game. So this is going to be a tough one for them emotionally, physically, coming off of a game that intense. But yeah, let's talk about their weaknesses, their strengths. My bad. Their strengths, like I said, the quarterbacks. They have not one, but two good quarterbacks. Luis Perez, in the media call today with Curtis Johnson, he said that he believes Luis Perez is the best quarterback in the league. He's not wrong. I mean, at least in passing yards, Luis Perez is leading everybody. He's absolutely killing it. The dude looks as accurate as ever. Man, I spent a lot of time on YouTube. I need to just look up how to throw a football because apparently it'll show you how to be Luis Perez. Because like they tell you on every broadcast, Luis Perez learned how to play quarterback on YouTube. But then they have the ever elusive Lindsey Scott Jr., who just brings an entirely different aspect to the game. He is a good running quarterback. He is great at moving out of the pocket and delivering fast, accurate balls. So it's hard. You have to plan for both, basically, because they moved on from just having Lindsey Scott doing extra points to now he will come in and he'll do an entire drive. So you have to really plan your defense for both quarterbacks. So this week, contain is going to be very big because Lindsey Scott, as he proved last week, he can just run it straight up the middle and not be touched. Their big playability is their second biggest strength. So week 1 against the Stallions, basically they only scored a touchdown because they broke coverage and they were able to get a deep ball. Luis Perez, man, he just death by 1,000 paper cuts. The man is just going to toss little passes. He's going to be accurate. He's going to get the ball out quick. He's not going to take a lot of sacks. Like, honestly, they're one of the better teams as far as taking sacks. And then he's just waiting for you to bring your defense up a little, and he's going to kill you deep. Their big playability is impressive, and they have good wide receivers. So you really do need to pay attention and not get complacent, not start creeping up to try and stop De'Veon Smith. You really do need to pay attention. The next thing is third down conversions. They are by far the best third down converting team in the league. They are over 62% completion percentage or conversion percentage on third down. So over half of the time, they are going to convert on third down. That is, again, because Luis Perez is that accurate. He gets the ball out quickly. He just sees the field well. So we really do need to pay attention to those third downs, which we'll get into. And then they have a solid linebacker core. Their two top tacklers are their middle linebackers, one of them being right there, Donald Payne. Absolutely love that guy. Wish he was still on the Gamblers, now the Roughnecks. But I love 18, man. great players. Their secondary may be suspect. They do give up a lot of yards, but their linebackers are legit and they are good tacklers. So if we do get Mark Thompson back this week, it's going to be important that we can get past that second line of defense and get to the secondary where they are weaker at tackling and we can try and score big plays. Now, let's talk about their weaknesses. Now, I put Coach Bob Stoops here because I didn't want to like single out their players and say like, hey, it's a weakness. I just thought, the coach owns everything. So we'll just put the coach there. Their secondary, like I said, they give up a lot of passing yards late in games. So the big thing that has come back to bite them a lot of the time is that in the second half, teams just start picking them apart in the passing game. Their secondary is just opening it up. On the 4th and 12 that the defenders converted, man, he really didn't hold the ball that long, Jordan Ta'amu, but he was able to convert it because his receiver was able to split the zone and get wide open. So that is a big weakness of theirs. Getting to the QB, they do not sack the quarterback a lot. Not a lot of teams, unless you're the Memphis Showboats and the Birmingham Stallions, you're not lighting it up in the sack area. But they're just very middle of the road in getting to the quarterback. Failure to finish games with a lead. Obviously, they haven't finished a single game. They are 0-3. They came out and they looked very good in the first half against the Stallions. Wheels fell off in the second half. They come out week 2, lose. Week 3, they come out again very strong. Like they are just killing it the first half. They were outplaying the DC defenders 90% of the game. And then they let them come back and they didn't finish. So that's a big thing. And then finding the end zone. They kick a decent amount of field goals. Like they just can't get into the end zone. Week 1, their defense was really holding up against the Stallions because the Stallions, it was week 1. They were slow, knocking some rust off, and they really needed to get ahead then. They didn't. They waited. The Stallions started heating up, and they weren't able to get any touchdowns after that. They got one touchdown off of a broken coverage where Isaiah Winstead was just blowing past dudes. And you can't just do that every time. You can't rely on the big plays. They need to be able to finish their drives, and they haven't been doing that. So those are their weaknesses. Those are things that we have to attack. Now, let's move on to the keys of winning. Number 1, maintain possession. This is something that we can do, but it's going to be difficult because Luis Perez and Bob Stoops, what they like to do is they like to start and do long drives. They're methodical. They're moving it downfield slowly. They're waiting for a big play. But if it's not there, they're just going to take the underneath. They are going to try and maintain possession more than us. They are going to try and control the game. We have to take it upon ourselves to stay on the field on offense. We cannot have 3 and outs. We can't hurt ourselves with penalties and leave our defense out there on the field constantly, because if we do that, Luis Perez is going to tear us up, and then we're going to get tired. We're going to get lazy. We're not going to hold contain. They're going to bring in Lindsey Scott and he's going to run it past us. So we really do need to be methodical, take what the defense gives you, and we have to maintain possession and not put it on our defense the entire game. The next thing we need to do is we need to stop them on third downs. Like I said, 62.5% of the time, the Arlington Renegades convert their third downs on offense. That is really impressive. It is far and away the best in the league. And so we have to pay attention and make sure that third downs, we are playing the sticks and we are not giving them easy passes. We're not letting guys run between the zones and sit there and just catch an easy first down. We have to get at Luis Perez. We have to apply pressure, and we need him to make mistakes. So third downs are very big. If we can win the third down battle, I believe that is going to push us forward the most in this game. Honestly, like possession, that is important. But if we can stop them on third downs and they aren't getting over half of them like they are against everybody else, then that is going to be the biggest thing that could help us not be the only 0-4 team after this week. But the next thing we need to do is no freaking penalties. Oh my God, I said it last episode. I'm like a wind-up doll. Penalties, penalties, penalties. Penalties, penalties. Stop, man. No penalties. We can't have it. That is what is going to stop us. On offense, if you have penalties, you have multiple false starts in a drive. It is really hard to overcome that. And then you have a 3rd and 15 where you're either just going to run a draw and give up, or you're going to have to try a 15-yard pass, some of your deeper stuff that you could have used later for a big chunk play, but now you have to use it just to try and overcome penalties. So we cannot be doing that. I hate having to say this every week. I would just like to see this week we stop with the penalties, stop being undisciplined. That's the biggest complaint I'm seeing online from fans, and I understand it. I really would like for them to stop doing that. Then the last thing is we have to capitalize on field position. Isaiah Henney is going to return the ball, and I would assume his average starting position for the offense, because of Isaiah Henney, our average starting position is going to be about the 43-yard line. If we start on our own 43-yard line, we should at least get a field goal. But if Isaiah Henney is able to get us past the 50, which he did twice last week, we need touchdowns. If he gets us in the red zone the way he did last week, he almost took one to the house. We have to punch it in, man. We got to be able to do that. You don't get plays like that all the time. You're not going to be able to just return the ball to the red zone every single time. When that happens, you need to get the touchdown. You need to get it in the end zone so that we don't lose freaking games, man. But this is a winnable game, guys. We can beat the Arlington Renegades. We can be 1-3. And then from that point, honestly, in the USFL division, we're not that far behind. We just have to start winning our divisional games, and we still have a shot at the playoffs. This is the make or break week. I know back before the season, week 1, I said that the Memphis game and then the DC game were going to be the big deciding factors of the season. Well, we didn't win those games. We didn't even win the third game. So we have to win this week, or else I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to be hard for me to stay positive on the show, and it's going to be hard for me to try and convince you guys not to give up. So let's hope for a win. Rough them up, drill baby drill, and I'll see you guys on Victory Monday.
I'm in the big leagues, Tony don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a...
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching the UFM United Football Media. If you like that, please make sure to like and subscribe. Also, if you want more videos, you can check them out on our channel over here. The best one for you is right here. And then if you liked mine, the rest of my playlist is right here. Thank you guys, and I hope to see you next time.